Good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Ramos, Chair of the Traffic and Transportation Committee. This is Bronx Community Board 7's Traffic and Transportation meeting. Okay, just so everyone knows, our agenda is as follows. We have reading the meeting guidelines, introductions, attendance, review of previous minutes, follow-up from previous month, the new business, which is our Gun Hill Road bus improvements from DOT, and the MTA updates, TT11 updates. Just a heads up, our next meeting date will be April 6th, 2023, and then we'll discuss on the next agenda, and then our adjournment. On December 21st, 2022, Mayor Adams issued Executive Order 291, extending the state of emergency through now it's March 15th. Accordingly, boards are able to continue to act under the state of emergency section of the video conferencing law, chapter 56 of laws 2022, part WW. This allows the board to continue remotely. Minutes and video recording will be made available on our website. If you're calling into the meeting on a conference call, controls while joining from a landline or cell, or by calling the dial-up number. To hear all available commands, enter ** on your phone. *6 will mute or unmute you. *9 is a virtual raise hands. How we will run this meeting. Code of conduct for meeting. Penalties and actions. Bronx Community 7 has the right to remove and/or ask a member of the public to leave a meeting or block participation of anyone who engages in inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to abusive or offensive behavior or language, personal attacks, threats, or any other behavior that reasonably implies the orderly administration of the meeting. Repeat offenses will be reviewed by the board's executive committee or any other assigned committee. For a ban on the amount of time objectively determined by the above committees or the participant of the event or repeated disruptive behavior. If in person, attacks continue, they will be considered disturbing the peace, and authorities shall be contacted. Everyone besides the speaker or presenter will stay muted throughout the meeting. After each presentation is over, I will inquire if the committee members have questions. Committee members will signify that they have a question by pressing the raise hand button or request to speak through the chat. Members of the public who have joined through the online link will be able to ask questions on the chat, make a brief statement on the item after each presentation and after the committee has had the opportunity to ask clarifying questions by pressing the raise hand button on your screen. or request to speak through the chat. Only those recognized by the chair of the committee will be allowed to speak during the allotted time. We will stay on topic with the agenda items, and the other items will be acknowledged by the chair in the new business or addressed at the next meeting, granted there is time and the committee agrees on the topic. Following the questions, discussions, and public comment session, the committee will begin their discussion on each presentation and will conclude with the decision on to vote for a recommendation. When the agenda is finished, the meeting will be adjourned. If there are any questions related to meeting software or the process, contact the Deputy District Manager at CB7. All right, so welcome everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to March. I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to come in this afternoon. The only thing I ask is that everyone in the meeting, they be recognized by a name. If you can't put a name on your account, you're going to be deleted from the room. Because everyone should be identified as an adult if they're at this meeting. All right, so you can go to the attendance. Edgar Ramos, present. Eric Asensio.
Eric Asensio is present.
All right, Lowell Green.
Lowell Green is present.
Okay, Daisy Perry.
Daisy Perry present.
Okay, Andrew Leosa.
Pedro Leosa present.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for continuing our perfect attendance. Okay, previous minutes weren't put out there. So I'll get you that at our next meeting. Okay, all right. I just want to thank everyone that's here from DOT. I believe MTA is on also. I also want to thank NYPD who's on the call, Officer Selden, and also I believe Sergeant Batts should be on. We can start the presentation. There's a presentation. The first one is from DOT. This is in reference to the Gun Hill Road bus improvements. If you guys are ready to go.
Yes. Sarah is eager to present. Good evening, everybody. Keith Calvin, 3rd Bronx Borough Commissioner, New York City Department of Transportation. Thank you for giving us some time on the agenda this evening. I'm joined by a few of my colleagues. I have Jesus, Soto, Renee, and Kevin also from my office with us. I don't think Holly's with us tonight. And then we also have Sarah Fella, who's our project manager for the Better Bus Plan for Gun Hill. And we have Philip Bethel from our transit development team. And I think Megan Molina from our colleagues at the MTA, who we work very closely with on these projects. I'm not sure if there's anybody else from the MTA here. But
and we also have Faith Chojar from DOT Transit Development as well.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I can't see everybody. I'm sorry, I can't see everybody. And look, also from MTA as well.
We have Keith, this is Megan. We have operations planning folks. We have Jamie and Rob from our team as well.
Okay, great. Thanks. I can't see everybody on one screen. So I'm going to let Sarah take it away to show you. A lot of folks on this call from the board have already seen this at our last CAB meeting, which was at the middle of February, just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to have Sarah take over and share her screen, and we're going to go through the formal presentation to the board of the proposal for Gun Hill Road improvements.
Great. Thank you so much, Keith. And thank you so much, everyone from the board, for being here. We really appreciate your time.
I lost your audio. I'm sorry. Am I the only one who lost Sarah's audio?
It's very low.
Oh, hold on. Is this better?
Yeah, a lot better.
Okay, great. I just took my headphones out. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We really, really appreciate your time. Again, my name is Sarah Feller. I'm a senior project manager for DOT's bus priority team. This is, I believe, our fourth presentation to Community Board 7 about the Gun Hill Road bus and pedestrian improvements. This project dates all the way back to 2019, and this is our last scheduled presentation to CB7 before we begin implementing it this spring. So we're just a couple of months away from actually, beginning to put this project in the ground. And so it's really important that we continue to hear your thoughts, your feedback, your comments, your questions. What about this proposal makes sense? What are you concerned about? We're near the finish line in terms of planning it out and designing it, but we do have time to make tweaks, to make modifications, to make changes. So that's really why we're here, to inform you on this updated proposal and to hear your thoughts, because we really do want to make this the best project it can be. We need to really make sure this works properly. So we really appreciate your time tonight. I'm going to try to be succinct, but I know some folks haven't seen this in a while, so I want to be thorough. But if there's anything that I miss or that you want more information on, I can always go back afterwards during the Q&A. So why Gun Hill Road? Gun Hill Road has 40,000 bus passengers a day. It's one of the busiest bus routes in the Bronx, and it's an east to west route. We know that east to west travel in the Bronx can really be a challenge. It's a critical crosstown service. It connects with several different subway routes, bus routes, Montefiore, North Central Bronx Hospital, Co-op City, Bay Plaza Mall, and all of the neighborhoods, businesses, residences in between. This project also comes out of the MTA Bronx Bus Network redesign. Now, as you'll recall, that was implemented last year, the summer of 2022. But as part of it, we had more than 50 outreach events. And one thing that we heard repeatedly was that Gun Hill Road is a really busy bus route, but a really slow and unreliable one. And so we were asked to improve it. Next, my colleague Jamie from the MTA can talk about Gun Hill Road bus speeds.
Thank you, Sarah, and good evening, everyone. These data points that we have here for the BX28 and BX38 show how double parking and traffic congestion on Gun Hill Road impact our bus service. The BX28 and 38 generally move slow all day, with average speeds of less than 7 miles per hour. And during critical peak service hours, where people are often trying to get to work or take kids to school, speeds can dip as low as 5 miles per hour. When we have low speeds like this, bus customers spend more time in traffic, creating longer travel times when they really rely on efficient, high-quality service the most. We also compare overnight travel times, which is when we see the lightest vehicle traffic on the corridor, to peak travel times, and found that for customers who travel the full length of the corridor during the peak period, spend about 15 to 17 additional minutes stuck in traffic, which really adds up over time. On these services, we also see reliability challenges due to traffic conditions, resulting in only 65% of buses completing their trips within the scheduled time. These conditions make it really difficult for us to deliver the bus service our customers deserve. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Jamie. We also have a well-documented traffic safety issue on Gun Hill Road. So we looked at 5 years worth of crash, injury, and fatality data on Gun Hill, and these numbers are for all the way from Bainbridge Avenue to Bartow Avenue, but we found nearly 5 people every week injured in crashes on Gun Hill Road. And just in the CB7 section of this corridor between Bainbridge Avenue and Webster, 324 injuries, which is really, really a lot. And that includes pedestrians, that includes vehicle passengers, folks on bikes, kids walking to school. Ultimately, we really have a responsibility to make this street safer for everybody who uses it. And so safety improvements are a big part of this proposal. We also did community outreach on the street. So in addition to working with community boards, with the Gun Hill Jerome bid, and with elected officials and other stakeholders, we also spent 3 days on Gun Hill Road doing public outreach. And you can see our setup here. We spent one day in CB7 in particular at Gun Hill and Bainbridge, talking to folks as they waited for the bus or as they passed by. And we asked them, you can kind of see these signs that we encourage folks to fill out if they were comfortable doing so. We asked them really simply, what's your neighborhood, what's your bus route, and what do you wish the bus would do differently or do better? And some of the requests we received repeatedly were faster bus service, more frequent and consistent bus service, less crowding on the bus. And this echoes what we hear around the borough and around the city. And we know from experience that bus lanes can address all of these things by getting buses out of traffic. Not only do we make bus service faster, but we help keep it on time and make sure that the buses come one at a time at even intervals instead of coming 2 or 3 at a time with a long gap in between, and so on and so forth. Here's some more of the feedback we received directly from folks on Gun Hill. And some of the feedback is like, the buses are on time, it's the traffic. Very slow, wait too long for it. Traffic and congestion. Be more frequent and faster, timing and schedule, being on time. Again, these are the kinds of comments and requests we're receiving from community members. To quickly summarize the goals and the challenges of this project, number 1, we're looking to make bus service fast, reliable, and on time. Number 2, we want to make Gun Hill Road safer for everyone who uses it. And number 3, we want to organize traffic movements. So if you look at this picture in the bottom left, we all know this is what Gun Hill Road looks like much of the time. It's supposed to be 2 lanes in each direction. Often that's reduced down to 1 because of a lot of double parking. And ultimately, one of our big goals of this project, and I'll talk about it in more detail in a moment, but to make sure that there are more spaces available at the curb. So that way, if you're pulling over, you need to access a business or access a residence, or you need to make a delivery or pick something up, making sure that there is a space available for you on that block or right around the corner, so you can do what you need to do without having to double park, block traffic, block the bus, cause folks to need to swerve around you or weave around you, and risk a ticket on top of it. We're trying to reduce that by making more spaces available. Additionally, we're aware of the challenges on Gun Hill, and ultimately we know that every street is a little bit different. And even on Gun Hill, every block is a little bit different from the block next to it or even across the street. And so we spent a lot of time trying to understand with a really, fine-tooth comb, what's going on each block. Why is this block slow? Why is the next block slow? And what are the specific improvements that will solve the specific problems? And so some of the challenges that we're aware of, obviously traffic congestion, double parking. We also see a broken up street grid. So especially if you're trying to get over the Bronx River Parkway, obviously there are very few streets to get through or around that. And again, we're aware of those issues, and we're making sure that we're being realistic in our assessment of the problems and in our proposal of solutions. Next, I'll walk you through the block by block. So starting from, sorry, let me slow down for a second. So because Gun Hill Road is so long, it's about 2.5 miles long. We broke it down into segments just to make it easier to comprehend. Segment 1 is within CB7. That's from Bainbridge Avenue, the Montefiore and North Central Bronx area to Webster Avenue. And again, that we're looking to implement starting this spring. Segment 2, and that's east of the Bronx River Parkway from White Plains Road going all the way out to Bartow Avenue near Co-op City and the Bay Plaza Mall. We're also looking to implement that this spring. Now this middle section from Webster Avenue to White Plains Road over the Bronx River Parkway, we're still figuring out what is the best thing to do there. We're continuing the traffic analysis there, and we're going to come back to you with a proposal for that middle section sometime in the future. But in terms of the CB7 area from Bainbridge Avenue to Webster, here's what we're looking at. Number 1, in the westbound direction, so in one direction, a center running bus lane, and this is an example of what that looks like on 161st Street in the Bronx, excuse me. And as well as bus boarding islands next to the center running bus lane to get folks on and off that bus. That also provides a pedestrian safety benefit. In the eastbound direction for a few blocks, we're proposing an offset bus lane. So that is keeping the parking, as you can see here, and having the bus in the travel lane next to the parking lane. We're also proposing a number of truck loading zones, residential loading zones, and metered parking that all help make parking more available and reduce the double parking that slows down Gun Hill Road today. So I'll walk you through this block by block. And again, I know a lot of you have already seen this proposal. It's mostly the same. There's a couple changes that I'll make you aware of, but as a refresher, I'll try to be thorough. So again, as I mentioned, we're proposing a center running bus lane, which just means a bus lane in the left lane. And you can see that heading westbound. So from the right side of your screen to the left side of your screen, heading from White Plains Road or heading from the Bronx River Parkway towards Jerome Avenue or Montefiore. And you can see the bus is in the left lane. And the reason for that is, number one, the bus makes a left turn onto Brainbridge Avenue to serve the hospital and the D train going down towards 207th Street. So if the bus is already in the left lane, then it can make that turn quickly and easily and safely without having to weave around other traffic. It also helps to keep the bus out of the way of double parked vehicles, and actually it discourages double parking and it tends to reduce double parking because folks are less likely to double park when they're blocking the only travel lane. And that's something that we've seen repeatedly, is that actually helps to reduce double parking. And on top of that, we are adding more parking spaces on the corridor that I'll talk about in a moment. Let's see here. And also in the eastbound direction, from the left side of your screen to the right side of your screen, heading towards the Bronx River Parkway, you'll notice that the bus lane does not start yet for these 2 blocks because we know they're 2 pretty busy blocks for traffic. And ultimately, this proposal is all about trade-offs. This street is pretty narrow. It serves a lot of different purposes. And so we looked at each block individually and really thought through what are the greatest needs for each block. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing I want to note is a new left turn bay onto Wayne Avenue. So this is where there are two parking garage entrances. And if we add an extra left turn lane here, that helps get those vehicles off of Gun Hill Road and onto Wayne Avenue without blocking the through traffic. The next 2 blocks, Tryon Avenue, Kings College Place, and Putnam Place. Again, you see in the westbound direction from right to left, you can see the bus lane in the left lane. This light gray rectangle here is a bus boarding island. And that exists because if the bus is in the left lane, folks still need to get on and off the bus safely. And this is essentially, a sidewalk island that allows folks to do that. It also has a pedestrian safety benefit because the island acts as a pedestrian refuge island here in the intersection crossing Gun Hill Road at Kings College Place and crossing Gun Hill Road at Tryon Avenue. We did need to restrict a couple of turns in order to accommodate, to make all of this fit. So the westbound left turn from Gun Hill Road onto Tryon Avenue, we would be proposing to restrict. And also the southbound right turn from Kings College Place to go westbound on Gun Hill, we would restrict that turn as well. Now, wherever we restrict turns, we looked very carefully at how many vehicles make that turn right now, and we do have that exact data. Making sure that we're not inconveniencing too many people, as well as making sure that we don't inconvenience anyone too much. And so we made sure that there are alternate routes for folks to get to and from any block, to make sure that, if you live on this block or in this block, to make sure you can still get to where you're going via another route. And that was the case for every turn we proposed to restrict. I also want to note that the eastbound bus lane going towards Webster Avenue, towards the Parkway, begins here just after Kings College Place. And you can see here, this is an offset bus lane where we keep the parking at the curb and the bus goes in the lane next to the curb. The next 2 blocks, Putnam Place, Perry Avenue, Reservoir Place, and Hull Avenue. Again, it's more of the same. You have in the westbound direction, the left lane bus lane. We did need to restrict the westbound left turn onto Putnam Place, but we were able to add a left turn lane onto Reservoir Place. And so some of the vehicles that currently turn left here will be able to turn onto Reservoir instead, or they can use Perry and loop around onto 11th. and in the left to right direction, again, that offset bus lane. And then finally, the last two blocks west of Webster Avenue. So this is Hall Avenue, Decatur Avenue, and Webster. And again, the westbound left lane bus lane, another bus boarding island here between Decatur Avenue and Hall Avenue. We would be proposing to restrict the westbound left turn from Gun Hill Road onto Hall Avenue going southbound, as well as the northbound left turn from Decatur Avenue going on to Gun Hill, to go westbound on Gun Hill. Additionally, one thing you might notice is that in the eastbound direction from left to right, so for the most part, the eastbound bus lane is in the offset lane next to the parking lane, but this last block here from Decatur Avenue to Webster Avenue, we're proposing to have the bus lane in the curbside lane. That's because, you know, this last block approaching Webster, it fills up with cars pretty quickly. We know that Gun Hill and Webster, this is a pretty gummed up intersection as far as traffic goes. And the more space we can add to get those cars and buses through, the better. Right now, this block is no standing 7 to 9 in the morning and 4 to 7 in the afternoon, 6 days a week. And by making that no standing rule, all times 24/7, as well as painting it red, we can help make that enforced better so that lane is actually clear the way it's supposed to be. Instead of having, even though right now, even just 1 or 2 vehicles parked here, now you can't use that lane to get the vehicles through. And these bus lanes, the offset and the curbside bus lanes, can be used to make a right turn, to access a driveway, to quickly pick someone up or drop somebody off. And all bus lanes can be used at all times by any vehicle, by any emergency vehicle. So ambulances, NYPD, FDNY, especially on this really big hospital corridor. We think this can be a really big benefit in improving emergency response times potentially. One other thing I want to note is, for those of you who were at our Community Advisory Board presentation a couple of weeks ago, I had talked about potentially moving a bus stop. There is a bus stop here at the in the eastbound direction, right after Hall Avenue. We had talked about maybe moving that bus stop 1 block west, and we did another field check and we realized we were unable to move that bus stop because of trees and other street furniture or sidewalk furniture in the way. So the eastbound bus stops would stay the same. Finally, around the Bronx River Parkway from Webster Avenue to the Parkway, there's a couple updates we want to share with you. So number 1, the westbound bus lane, so that's the bus lane approaching Webster Avenue now, would begin between the Bronx River Parkway and Webster. And that's in order to get all the vehicles aligned correctly before you cross Webster. So to separate out the left turning vehicles, the through moving vehicles, the right turning vehicles, and the buses. So the buses are already in their own separate lane. And that just helps to just get things organized and aligned earlier. Additionally, right, and this is maybe a smaller detail, but if you're coming, let's say from White Plains Road, and you want to make a left turn here to take the Bronx River Parkway southbound, right now, the left lane is available to go through or left. We'd want to make this a left turn only lane, and through vehicles can use the other 2 lanes. Through vehicles can use the other 2 lanes, and that just helps to get traffic aligned and reduce merging. And then I'll say again, the remainder of this section, so any other changes in this area between Webster Avenue and White Plains Road, we're still studying what else we might be able to do here, and we'll come back to you in the future with a proposal there. Now, let's talk about curb regulations. And like I said, we all know that double parking is a big issue on Gun Hill Road, and we really need to reduce it. That's a major objective of this project. And so there's a few tools we have to do that. Number 1, we did need to repurpose about 31 full-time parking spaces in order to accommodate bus boarding islands, left turn bays, etc. So those are the red boxes here. We, as well as 8 spaces in this burgundy box here, where I just talked about from Decatur Avenue to Webster Avenue, heading towards Webster. Right now, those are part-time parking spaces. We would want to make that a full-time bus lane. In order to offset or to make up for that parking being repurposed, we are able to add 12 new spaces, give or take, in former bus stops. either bus stops that are being moved to bus boarding islands, or in one case, there's a bus stop that was consolidated as part of the Bronx bus network redesign last year. Also in orange and in purple, we're proposing four truck loading zones and 3 residential loading zones. And you can see that these are mostly around the corner from the bus boarding islands. So on Decatur Avenue, on Hull Avenue, which is around this bus boarding island here, and on King's College Place and Wayne Avenue, around this bus boarding island here. And the purpose for that is on the blocks where you have bus boarding islands, we did have to repurpose all of that parking. And you can see these big, long red boxes for these blocks. So we need to be available for folks who need to access or want to access a business or residence on either of these blocks. So we added this parking around the corner to make sure that that is available for them. Finally, the blue boxes, these are spaces that are currently alternate side parking that we would want to make metered parking. And that's really valuable because if it costs, let's say $1 an hour or whatever, fee it is, that encourages folks to not park there all week or all day, but just to park there for as long as they need to. And so, on Gun Hill Road, such a busy street with rows of businesses, with apartment buildings, with so much going on, metering that parking helps to reduce double parking and reduce the need for folks to double park, risk a ticket, etc. In terms of traffic analysis, obviously we know that if you take a lane that currently is available to any car and make it a bus only lane, this is going to have some effect on traffic. Even though there's a lot of double parking right now, it's going to have an effect on traffic, especially in the first couple of weeks. And what we found over and over again in our projects across the Bronx and across the city over the past 15 or so years is that after the first couple of weeks, folks, especially the folks who drive this every day, they understand, okay, this is what the new layout is on Gun Hill Road. What are my options? And so most folks won't change their behavior. Most folks, driving on Gun Hill Road is what makes sense for them now. They're going to keep doing that, and that's fine. A minority of folks will, who have an alternate route, might use an alternate route. Some folks might have the flexibility to travel at a less busy time of day. So instead of traveling at the busiest hour, some folks might have the ability to travel a little bit earlier, a little bit later. And then finally, some folks, and certainly not everyone, but some folks we hope and we've seen on past projects say, hey, this bus actually works better now. And if I am traveling along Gun Hill Road, I can actually try to take the bus. That might actually work better for me. And so what we tend to see is that there is, a reduction in the number of vehicles that would use Gun Hill Road during the busiest times of the day, especially the busiest hour in the morning and the afternoon. And so we did a traffic analysis with a traffic engineering consulting firm, and they're absolute experts in this. And so my team and DOT's engineers and the consultant engineers spent over a year building out a traffic model of Gun Hill Road, every block, the entire corridor, plus the cross streets. And we entered in the number of vehicles that use every single block, that make every single left turn, right turn through movement based on actual data. And what we found is that ultimately, with all the changes that I just walked you all through, it would take about 10% fewer vehicles during the busiest hour of the morning and the busiest hour of the afternoon to make traffic about how it is today. And obviously traffic on Gun Hill Road, especially this part of Gun Hill, is not great today. It is congested, it is busy, and we know that, but that's what it would take, about 10% fewer vehicles, and that's about a vehicle and a half a minute to make traffic about what it's like now. One thing that also helps us is that we're able to give Gun Hill Road a lot more green light time, and that helps get traffic through. We're able to give Gun Hill Road, and our signal engineers are gonna give us the final number after implementation. They're gonna go out there after the bus lanes are put in and see how it's working and make adjustments. But we can give Gun Hill Road up to 13 seconds more green time per minute, which might not sound like a lot, but it actually really helps get that traffic through and reduce that congestion, while still giving pedestrians more than 30 seconds to cross Gun Hill Road. And it will be a noticeable difference for folks who drive this, or for folks who walk Gun Hill Road every day. You know, you would see a difference in less walking time for pedestrians to cross Gun Hill. You know, again, that's a trade-off that we take seriously, but we did make sure that there is still enough time to cross. It's above our minimums. And even for folks who are seniors, who are school kids, they will still have a good amount of time to cross. And then finally, part of our job is to monitor traffic before, during, and after implementation. Spend time, you know, we're going to spend time on the corridor in person during the busier hours, during the less busy hours, and understand, you know, what is the effect on traffic, as well as any other effects that we see. And we can always make additional changes. We're always very, very happy to meet with you all, to have more meetings, to meet on site, whatever it takes to make sure that this project is working the way that it should. Really quickly, a couple of traffic hotspots that our traffic analysis showed us that we're going to keep an extra eye on. So in the morning, we're looking at Tryon Avenue, Kings College Place area, going westbound, as well as the westbound approaching Webster Avenue. And in the afternoon, busiest hour of the day, the eastbound approaching Bainbridge Avenue, and both directions approaching Perry Ave. You know, I've already talked about traffic accommodations, but the short version of it is that there's a lot of tools that we're using to help keep traffic moving, and some of those also improve safety. So, for example, a left turn lane helps to, you know, give left turning vehicles a place to wait without blocking the through traffic, and that helps keep traffic moving and also helps improve safety. Left turn restrictions also help keep traffic moving. Talked about the curb regulation improvements to reduce double parking, signal timing improvements, and as I mentioned, all vehicles can use a curbside bus lane or an offset bus lane to turn right to access a driveway, etc. A couple other things that we're folding into or doing at the same time as the Gun Hill Road project. These are things that Montefiore Hospital specifically requested us to do. So we're really excited that we were able to accommodate their requests, and we think they're going to be really beneficial for them and for the neighborhood. Number one, a brand new mid-block signalized and marked crossing. So this will be a new signalized intersection here in the middle of the block on Bainbridge between Gun Hill Road and 210th Street. And this connects the main entrances of two of the big Montefiore Hospital buildings, and helps get folks, you know, between these buildings safely, especially folks going to and from their appointments. Additionally, some bus stop changes on Bainbridge. So right now, in the northbound direction, so looking from left to right, there is one northbound bus stop for the 6 or so bus routes. I think it's 7 bus routes in total that use Bainbridge. But there are 2 stops going southbound. So the red stop here and the light blue stop here. So the bus stops twice, only a block apart. And that makes the bus a little bit slower. And it also, and also uses up curb space on this block that's very, very double parked, where oftentimes folks get dropped off for an appointment and they can't even get dropped off at the curb. They have to walk in the street because there's so much parking and double parking. So by consolidating these 2 bus stops into a new combined bus stop for local buses here, so that is just before 210th Street. And we do also plan on keeping the short bus stop just after 210th Street, just for the express bus. We can help create some more curb space here and turn that into an ambulance-only zone next to the ER entrance, which is another thing that Montefiore had asked us for, to keep those ambulances in their own designated space. And for the rest of this block, where there isn't an ambulance-only zone or a bus stop, you know, right now it's this hodgepodge of no standing anytime, no standing 7 to 7, no parking Monday through Friday. The regulations are all over the place. They're hard to understand and they're harder to enforce. By making these no standing anytime 24/7 consistently, wherever you see these red boxes here, that makes things that should make it, easier to understand, easier to enforce, and help to reduce double parking and free up the curb for folks who need it for those quick pickups and drop-offs. Next block is Wayne Avenue. This is 1 block east of Bainbridge Avenue, still on the Montefiore campus. So this is a really narrow street with two-way traffic. There's two big garage entrances, one on the west side of the street and one on the east side. Right now, again, the block is a weird mix of no standing anytime, no standing Monday through Friday, alternate side parking. And the problem is that if you have one vehicle double park on this block, it gums up it turns a two-way street into a one-way street. And that causes backups on Wayne Avenue, and those backups even spill over onto Gun Hill. And so if we just add more no standing anytime 24/7, make it more consistent, that can help reduce traffic on Wayne and help reduce spillbacks onto Gun Hill and keep Gun Hill traffic moving as well. So that's the proposal. In terms of the project timeline, as I mentioned, this project dates back to 2019. Right now, we're towards the end of the outreach process, where we are, continuing to refine the proposal and working with CBs 7, 11, and 12, as well as the Gun Hill Road Community Advisory Board. We're looking to begin implementing this in the spring, and we do have time to think through and potentially integrate any suggestions or concerns you bring up today. And as always, we are going to continue to work with you as needed. If you bring up issues or concerns to us, we are always eager to continue the conversation, to have more meetings if we need them, just to make sure that this project works as well as it can. So there you have it. Thank you so much for your time. And we're very, very happy to hear your thoughts, answer your questions.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. It's definitely very detailed, a lot of information to grasp. I just have one quick question, right? It looks like Montefiore was able to communicate with you guys directly about some of these changes. Have they done anything on their end to try to alleviate the traffic? I know there was talk about staggering start times, because that exit on Gun Hill Road on the Bronx River Parkway, I know they have extended it in order to alleviate more cars onto the off-ramp. But I know there was talk about them staggering their times or making other things available for their employees to alleviate the number of vehicles going up Gun Hill in the mornings and down Gun Hill in the afternoons.
Yeah, that's a great question. I know, and we've had multiple meetings with Montefiore. I don't know if we've heard from them about staggering their start times or anything to that effect, or if they have the ability to do that. Colleagues from the Bronx office, do you recall any discussion of that or thoughts on that?
They have not discussed staggered work times, but providing reliable transit service through the corridor will give the employees at Monte, a faster option to get to and from work.
Right, because I know there was that issue, and then there was the issue of that food truck on Bainbridge. As soon as you make that left off of Gun Hill, that's been a corner on our toe for a long time. It blocks parking and blocks vehicles from being able to get to the curb to drop off patients and people going for services, and they stay in a no standing zone all day long. Has anything been done to avert or correct that? I know there was going to be some talk about enforcement. Did anything ever get done for that or them?
Bronx office, do you want to
I'm
speak
not
to
quite
that?
sure I
before
understand the
take that back?
question. It's an enforcement issue.
Right. Okay.
So we work closely with the police department. And so once we make changes, we will work again closely with the police department to have any new regulations enforced properly and keep on whoever is violating those new rules.
Yeah. Apparently their food is really good because no one seems to want them to go away. But like I said, I just wanted to make sure if that was put into consideration and all the changes that were being made. Do we have any questions from members of the board?
Yeah, you have Andrew, Eric, Lowell, and then Toby.
Okay, Andrew, go ahead. Did I steal your thunder about the food truck? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I live right around the corner. And what I'm concerned about is, I mean, the plan on paper looks absolutely wonderful. You've really done a great job, lots of data behind it. But the big missing piece, as I've said over and over and over again, and I'm not exaggerating, I am not exaggerating. There is basically a total, and I'm not kidding, total lack of enforcement of the current laws. Again, going northbound on Bainbridge Avenue, I mean, it's a major, major bus route. How is it possible that 4 cars are always parked on the right, against the right curb in a no standing every day, all the time? Zero enforcement at 210th Street going northbound. Why is that important? Because it blocks any turning vehicle. It now becomes only 1 lane because those cars are parked there. The food truck, I say it over and over and over and over and over again. Again, zero, and I'm not kidding, zero enforcement. They laugh. So what makes anybody believe that this wonderful, great plan has any chance of working when there is basically zero enforcement? And I hope NYPD's on this call, because, I mean, ultimately, come on, like, there would not be a deficit in this city. Give me the damn ticket book. I'll write the tickets. We would not have a deficit. There are that many tickets that could be written every single day. There's basically zero enforcement. The other issue of the plan is, a lot of times I look at that, it's hard for me to explain, but the private passenger vehicles and the trucks, whatever, that are making turns at times are going to cross, to go across, cut across the dedicated bus lane. And specifically at Wayne Avenue, that garage, every morning I sit at my breakfast table and I look out the window, and there literally are, and again, I'm not exaggerating, over 100-something vehicles that make the turn from Gun Hill Road onto Wayne Avenue. And I don't see how those vehicles are going to have enough common sense not to back up the queue, the line, to make that left turn and not block the bus lane. The bus wants to go straight. I can almost guarantee you there are going to be cars there backed up, and the bus is going to be backed up. So I'm sorry for ranting and raving, but you can hear my frustration. It's, you know, for 40 years, I've seen basically zero enforcement. And Montefiore employees are some of the worst offenders. Wayne Avenue by the garage, it's no standing now. It is red, no standing now. I bet right now, if you went there, you will see cars illegally parked there. You never see a ticket. So there is zero enforcement now. We need enforcement. We need enforcement. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, Andrew, thank you so much. And thank you for, you know, like, please rant and rave. And then this is, you have really valuable things to share with us. You live here, you see it every day. And we agree, you know, enforcement is really important. And, you know, we have our partners in NYPD, and the Bronx office can, in a moment, can speak to our relationship with them. There's also, we do also have camera enforcement for bus lanes, and that's one of the big benefits of putting in red bus lanes on this street is we can and will camera enforce them, and those cameras are active all the time. You know, and also working, you know, the design of this bus of this bus lane and this project, we're designing to make things self-enforcing wherever they can be. So for example, like I said, if there's only one lane and if there is more parking available on side streets, if there's more metered parking, it's creating fewer reasons for folks or fewer opportunities for folks to double park. And double parking is one of the big enforcement issues here. So, we hear you loud and clear. We need as much enforcement as we can. That's NYPD direct enforcement. That is camera enforcement. And we look forward to doing the best we can on that, partnering with NYPD and also with cameras and other things. Also, I'll say with Wayne Avenue, and yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Is like there are, this alone, this garage here is like a 10-story garage. There are certainly hundreds of vehicles a day making this turn onto this block. Again, by expanding the no standing anytime, our hope and intent is that will reduce the need to double park. And even if there is a car or two parked here, especially a service vehicle, they're not following the rules, but at the very least, they're parking and not double parking. But yeah, thank you so much. I don't know, Ed, if you want to call the next person.
Eric?
Hi, good evening. Thank you. And Sarah, right? Sarah? Amazing presentation. Thank you. My concern, I think remains that the restriction of the left turn onto Whole Avenue, right? Because now we're shifting cars into Reservoir Oval, right, from Gun Hill. And then I'm wondering if making Putnam Place a double-way street will help alleviate some of that traffic that you're diverting into that residential street, right? Because Reservoir is only residential, right? So we have, I think Troy is also a double-way street, right? So cars will basically, in order not to get to the block between Gun Hill and 209, any residents that lives there that's coming westbound will have to literally go into Reservoir and then Troy and then back onto Gun Hill to make a right turn into Hull, right? So we're adding additional time, more traffic, right back. So maybe by adding another street that they could actually turn before it, I don't know if that will help or not. Just a question for you guys to take a look at. But if you say you have the data that maybe not a lot of people turn into Whole, right? We're not sure. And then my other question is, why change Wayne from no standing Monday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and to no standing at any time? And why not allow residents of the neighborhood to park there because they already have issues with parking and they cannot really use those parking garages, right? So now we're eliminating additional parking that you already eliminating on Gun Hill 2. And then my third question is, I'm wondering if extending the current bus stop northbound, where we have all those lines converging up to the new walkway that you're creating, will be beneficial along Bainbridge.
So I'm sorry, could you explain your last comment about Bainbridge?
So you're creating the new walkway right here, right? And we already know that this existing bus stop, not that you have a no standing anytime. So why not just take over with the bus stop, right? And just extend the bus stop to the new walkway. And then leave the no standing on the other side, on the north side of that walkway. Instead of having confusion of bus stop, no standing, walkway, no standing.
Yeah, these are all great questions, and thank you, Eric, for your thoughtful comments here. So first stop, Putnam Place, we can look into that. I don't know if we'll have time to make it part of this proposal, but we can definitely look into see if that would be a benefit to make that two-way, for sure. Now, Wayne Avenue, the reason why we want to make it no standing any time is because, you know, ultimately the traffic issue, it's not just rush hour, it's not just Monday through Friday. I mean, obviously, you know, we see traffic congestion on Gun Hill Road at a really wide range of days and times. And like I was saying, there's a really, really strong need to help keep this street clear of double parked vehicles so it can be the two-way street it's supposed to be. And prevent vehicles from having to spill back onto Gun Hill. And I do think, for whatever it's worth, I know this isn't accessible to everyone, but I know this garage in particular on the east curb or on the east side of the street is for one of the residential buildings that's affiliated with Montefiore. So maybe some, obviously not everyone can use that. I don't know, there might be a fee to use it, but there's another option that might be available to some folks. And then finally, in terms of the bus stop here, and I hear you loud and clear. We had a couple meetings with MTA to figure out how long this new bus stop needs to be. And ultimately, what we want is, you know, the bus stop that's long enough to serve all the buses, but that also leaves space for everyone picking somebody up, dropping somebody off, ambulances, ambulettes, so on and so forth. And so it's a balance to strike, but we want to make sure we're accommodating everything. And we try to make things clear with signage, especially with the bus stop signage that has, you know, the unique circular sign on the unique pole. We do hope that helps. But you know, we also want to make things as clear as possible, and I think it's a balancing act.
Yeah,
I will mention.
Sorry, go ahead.
I will mention, yes, at that bus stop, we do have a concrete bus pad there as well. And so extending the bus stop beyond that pad means we're actually going to sort of wear out the asphalt much faster than concrete. So there's a bit of a maintenance issue there.
Right, I understand. I'm just bringing it up because when I take those buses, there's always not only people dropping off, but like you say, always double parking right in front of that bus stop. And then the buses have a harder time getting out of the bus stop. Right, by extending it and allowing it to be right off of a crosswalk, it will be easier for the bus to do that maneuver. Right, because there's ambulances that come like 2 or 3 at a time. There's people getting out, getting picked up by an Uber. So if the ambulance is waiting for someone in front of the bus stop, now the Uber has to stop on the driving lane. That was my logic behind that.
Yeah, thanks again for that, and we'll give it another look as well.
All right, thank you. Lowell, you have a question?
Yes, I have a couple of comments. Down Putnam Place and 211th and on Gun Hill, there is a school. And I'm just concerned when you do all these traffic flows, are you going to make sure you can get all the school buses out?
So you're referring to the, I think it's PS 94, the King's College School here?
School buses
Yeah,
stop on King's College Place, and they also stop on Putnam Place.
Yeah,
And
thank you for that.
I want to make sure that those buses, you know, have options to turn left and right onto Gun Hill as needed.
Yeah, thank you for that. So, and yeah, we're definitely aware of this of PS 94 here, and I know that they have both. You know, it's a chunk of the full block, and so I know they have frontage on both.
Right,
Kings,
but they're
Putnam
also they pick up kids, a whole bunch of school buses also on Putnam Place.
Yeah.
And
so
another,
we showed this proposal. Go ahead.
Okay, and also up on Hall is, and I don't know where it is, that's another place that was marked for maybe a car sharing place. Someplace on Hall. And I don't know where that is, but in that traffic flow, that's a traffic flow issue to look at again.
Mhm.
because there's only one in and limited ways out. That's, on the drawing board, maybe some point in time changed. That's one concern. And if you go back in front of the hospital, between Bainbridge and 210th,
Mhm.
I would like to say thank you. And I use the number 10, so I know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And I am very thankful. And I will have to walk a couple of blocks, but living in the community and seeing ambulances parked all over the place, I very much like the idea of reserving where the old bus stop was for just ambulances. I really think that's a terrific idea, and I appreciate that. And I will tell you, again, using the bus stop at 2 and 10th going north, I'll be honest, I don't think Montefiore is going to allow the police to go out and ticket, because they're not going to want cars that are waiting to pick up people. And these are Ubers. They're 9 out of 10 times they're TLC cars. They're not personal cars. And they're all bunched in front of that bus stop all the way down to Gun Hill. And I'm not even talking the restaurant bus. I'm talking 2-3 lines of traffic parked there. And I don't think Montefiore is going to say you can ticket, because this is how their people who come to the medical arts building for their apartments get dropped off and picked up. And it's going to be, if the word gets out, we're not going to go there because we're going to get tickets, then the patients at Monty aren't going to get there. And Monty's going to help people yelling and screaming. So I think that's going to take some hand-holding, pats on the back, I don't know what, but that needs to be addressed.
Great. Well, thank you so much for all of these comments. They're all really, really good and really thoughtful. So the first one you talked about is PS 94 on King's College Place. So a week or two ago, we had
And Putnam Place.
And Putnam Place, yes, both streets. So a week or two ago, we had our presentation to the Gun Hill Road Community Advisory Board. PS 94's principal was in attendance, and we did speak with her at that meeting. And she saw this whole plan and did not raise any objections about school bus access. If they did have any issues or concerns, and we do have an open line of communication with them. We've already, we already are working with them.
Okay.
But no issue there. And her, I'll say her biggest priority was when she said was the safety of kids getting to and from school. And so we're really excited that we're able to add the pedestrian median island right here at Gun Hill and King's College on the block of the.
And I think that's a great idea too, because I'm always crossing at King's College because I live on King's College. And, there are times I look 3 ways and then hold my breath as I cross Gun Hill to get to the other side of the street. So I agree with that.
Great. Thank you. So next, Hala, you mentioned the car share location. We will look into that and double check that we're not having any conflict. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I thought you were done with her questions. I forgot about the car share one. So I think that was one of the ones we brought to DOT's attention.
Oh yeah,
just on a safety thing.
Yeah, we're reevaluating that location.
All right, cool. Okay, next we have Toby. You have a question?
I wanted to ask because I hope I'm saying your name right, Sarah. I hope it's correct.
Yep.
You mentioned that you got your DOT is adding 15 seconds more to pedestrians so that they can walk across the street. My ask is that you allow 7 more seconds and to make it a little safer for folks who navigate the community slower, like people with low visions, people who have used wheelchairs to go from place to place. I just wanted to put that out there to see if there's any possibility that you can stretch that ability for people to walk children, smaller children who are walking across the street, particularly maybe at those intersections where traffic is going 4 different ways, maybe Webster, maybe as you go up the hill, that area, and then again at Jerome. Okay. All right. I hope that's something that can be done. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
Toby, thank you so much. And I do want to clarify, our plan actually is to reduce the amount of green time, or sorry, to add more green time to Gun Hill Road to get traffic through. And that would actually, unfortunately, mean less time to cross Gun Hill. And, you know, that's, again, it's a trade-off that we're taking really seriously. No matter what we do, there's going to be trade-offs. And so we're trying to balance those as best we can. You know, as I said, you know, Gun Hill Road may get up to 13 more seconds per minute of green time. And that means about 13 seconds less to cross Gun Hill. And you know, again, we're aware of that. And we want to make sure we are still prioritizing pedestrian safety and pedestrian comfort. What I will say is that, is that what we did is we looked at, you know, how, we want to make sure that even people, even seniors or people walking with children or folks going to and from doctor's appointments, folks who walk slowly, you know, who walk at a lower speed than the average person, still have enough time, and folks will still have more than 30 seconds to cross, which is above our minimum for a street as wide as Gun Hill, and does account for folks who walk more slowly. The way that, and I also want to say, the way that will determine exactly how much more green time Gun Hill gets is, the way it usually works is, once the bus lanes are in, our traffic signal engineers will be out there in person watching traffic, and they'll tweak it a little bit. They'll, you know, on day 1, they'll add a couple seconds of green time. Day 2, they'll add a couple more. And then this way they can kind of Goldilocks the right amount of time that's good enough for traffic, but also balances it with the need for pedestrian crossing.
Now, I just have one quick question in reference to that. I don't know if this is something that Keith, you guys can ask for, or is it something that would be a community board ask? The ability to have traffic agents, like crosswalk agents, available during the peak hours, which would be when school's going into session. Because the fact that, 1, you have the children, and 2, you also have patients, right? Some of the people going for help to the hospital, they really can't cross that street, and there's kind of no way to really improve their speed, right? If there would be the ability of having a traffic enforcement agent of some kind in the main corners, like where there's schools.
Bronx office, do you want to speak to that?
Ask the police department to provide traffic control agents, but it would not be part of this project.
Okay. No, I'm just saying, as to kind of just to help that situation, because it's going to be mostly in the mornings, right, when school's starting up, and that'll also probably be at the same time when the vehicle traffic is going to be at its peak in the mornings. All right. We have a question out there, Garino.
Yes, good evening. Yes, touching upon what Eric said, going to 211th and Bainbridge there with the bus stops, if you can bring that up. Okay, he noticed that there's that little section there that's a no standing zone. Would there be a possibility of moving the express bus only into the local bus lane and have one longer stop there? And again, free up that corner there for parking, because once the ambulances are parked at the other corner, the community won't have any space, or they will be in the ambulance space. So if you can extend it, you had the other picture that showed everything in red, which was better. If you could bring that up.
Yeah.
All right.
This here?
Yeah, this section in there, the green circle. So if you eliminate that that corner bus stop,
Mhm.
move it in here, and that would justify extending that bus stop or one section, and then it'll be one location where the buses are stopping. Because then people could either park here or drop off people here, because the ambulances are taking up the other corner. And of course, our famous food
That
truck it will be, now that you're going to extend that no standing anytime, there will be more than one food truck moving into that location. They will saturate that location with food trucks. And that's my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So in terms of the bus stops, it was something that the MTA specifically had requested, I believe, to keep the one shorter bus stop for the express buses only. But we're willing to continue working with Montefiore and North Central Bronx and the community board. And so, any issues you see after implementation, whether it's food trucks, or needing more curb space, for pickups and drop-offs or for waiting vehicles, we're happy to continue that conversation and to have, and to continue making those tweaks. So we'll we can keep working on that together. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I think we're done with the Gun Hill part of the DOT presentation. I just have a couple of quick things with DOT, if possible.
Could I actually mention one thing real quick, a follow-up to Toby's question?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I did just take a look at our signal timings, and we are using, our signal timings, we use two different types of crossing speeds, depending on what types of people in the area. And we do, for these locations, use our crossing speed that we use for children and seniors. So we are taking that into account.
Okay, thanks for that, Dave. Keith, just real quick,
Is a hand raised, public?
I'd like to
Is a
thank
hand-
I'd like to thank the DOT for bringing the team from Gun Hill, and thank you for your responsiveness. So Keith, just real quick, the information that you spoke about yesterday.
There's a hand from the public.
Right,
There's
and
a
I
hand
asked
up.
Andrew, I asked everyone to put their names on their IDs. Those that don't want to comply can sit in the room like little kids. So as I was saying, Keith, you had made a mention about the time, the bike rides for the bike share program.
All right, can you say that again?
No, I was saying we had spoken yesterday about the timing for the bike share for the city bikes.
Yesterday?
I'm sorry, Keith.
Yesterday we spoke about city bikes.
You were saying that you had a report from the bike share program, correct?
Yes, we got you a number. You asked specifically for additional data. that we
Right,
didn't
right.
have.
Yes,
And we said, if you request it, we will, the way that you requested it, we
right.
had, I think the number was 162,000 in Community Board 7 number of riders. But you said you wanted specific.
Yeah, that's gonna come later, because like I said, I gotta get with my committee to see what specific stops they were concerned about, so we can get that direct information. But I was just saying, overall, the number that you had, just so that they understand it. City Bike is.
Sorry, I
responding to
didn't
us.
quite understand the question.
Oh,
Right, so
sorry.
yesterday we briefly spoke about the number.
Right,
162,000 rides were started in Community Board 7. But we didn't have a breakdown of each site. And that's the information that you talked about yesterday that you were looking for.
right. Right, but like I said, we did get some information from them. And like I said, once we're able to fine tune a little more what it is that we actually need from City Bike, hopefully they can respond to that and we can get that information out to the community. Because I know there's a lot of questions in reference to that. One of Did the committee have anything else for DOT? I'm sorry.
Edgar, you have Armando with a question.
Who's that? All right, yeah, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
as
can
a
hear
as
you.
a no, sorry, as a Norwood resident, even though we have the Van Cott post office on Decatur and 204th, if you don't get your package, you get sent to the Gun Hill post office. Taking the bus from Norwood to there will take hours. It's a lot faster just to walk there. A lot of people often do that. So I know a lot of conversation was on Montefiore, but going down also to Bay Plaza, there's no way to get to the mall from over here. Taking the bus, it's about 2 hours each way. And a cab ride is like $35-$40 each way there now. And in this economy, we just want to get people to the mall. And some of us we don't drive. So there's no other way to actually get east to west, as you guys said before. A lot of Montefiore, they're just going to keep parking like that. There is no enforcement whatsoever, but same for all of that. Hopefully I do approve of this as a resident. I think it's beautiful and it's a way to get it cleared up finally. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Armando. Appreciate it.
All right, so the committee doesn't have any questions for DOT. So we'll go over to MTA. We have a new guest today from TD11. We have Sergeant Batts. Sergeant Batts, if you can introduce yourself, please.
Everybody.
Hi, my name is Sergeant Batts. I'm the NCO Sergeant for Transit District 11. I'm on with Officer Benedict, who is our, well, he's pretty much a Renaissance man. He kind of does everything in District 11.
All right. I had sent him a message earlier. I just wanted to know, do we have any numbers for the D train and the 4 line, I guess, which is the ones mostly traveled by CB7? If you have any updates or any information, please.
Yes, I do. So on both lines, it's pretty much the same problem. So we've had 5 major crimes in the past 28-day period. In the 5-2 in general, there's been 3 on the D line and 2 on the 4 line, just in the 5-2. 2 at Woodlawn, where both one was a robbery, one was a grand larceny from a lush worker, which means somebody fell asleep and the property was gone when they woke up. And on Kingsbridge, it was going to be 2 lush workers, and then, which is the same thing, and then 1 robbery. So when I say lush worker, I mean people, commuters, they're getting on the trains, whether it be in Manhattan, could be Brooklyn, could be anywhere in the city. And they get on the train, and of course, winter finally showed up, and it's cold out now, and they get on the train, it's warm, it's moving, and they fall asleep. And when they wake up, unfortunately, their property's gone. The problem with that is, while we take the complaint report up in District 11, that could have happened anywhere. It could have happened in Manhattan, could have happened in Brooklyn. It could have happened anywhere where you might have fallen asleep on the train. And that actually was the case in one where we took a complaint report for Bedford. The victim got on the train at 125th Street. She was finally able to sit down. When she sat down, she fell asleep. When she woke up, her wallet was missing from her purse. And the only reason she found out was she went to go reload her card. And then there was unauthorized charges on her credit card. The bad thing about that is we don't know where that happened. It could have happened anywhere after 125th Street, anywhere along the line. I'm going to say the only good thing about that is because there was charges. Hopefully we can find cameras about where the credit cards are used and find out who actually did it and then be able to arrest that person. But in most cases, when that happens, if there's not on any charges that are there and it's cash or it's other property, whether it be passports, license, things like that, these are untraceable items that we can't trace and we don't know where it happened. So a lot of those crimes go unsolved. So our biggest thing is we understand is it's cold out. It's tiring. Everybody's working long days. If you feel tired and you feel like you're falling asleep, to just stand up. That way, and obviously secure your property as best as possible when you're on the trains and you're tired. The robberies are the same thing. We have a lot of crimes of opportunity on the trains right now. We ask people just to protect their property. Obviously, we don't want any robberies. Usually mean there's physical force. Somebody, unfortunately, usually gets hurt, whether it be something minor or something major. But we ask people to just kind of be aware of their surroundings. If you're sitting on the train and your phone's out, which everybody does, just make sure that when the train stops, you put your phone down. You kind of look around, see what's going on, because what's happening is the people that are taking advantage of our victims, they're look for the people that are close to the doors that aren't really paying attention. So basically they can just snatch whatever they can and run. So basically just stay aware of your surroundings, protect your property. And then if you're feeling tired, just make sure you stand up and just move around. Try to wake up until you get your destination so your property's safe.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that we have. We have the end of line of both the D train and the 4 train within the confines of CB7 and also within the confines of the 5-2. So they end up getting a lot of reports that for crimes that may not have necessarily happened within the confines of the 5-2 or TD11, but that's just where they found out that they had a problem. I'd like to thank you for joining us, and I understand from Officer Mathis you should be joining us more frequently from here on in, which is good to hear.
Yes, every meeting that I'm available to make, I will attend, and I'll answer any questions you guys have.
All right, I guess that's good news. That means people have been having a good ride. Yeah, I guess one of the biggest things that people always bring up is is that certain stations, the aggressive people coming at you to swipe. You know, I mean, a lot of people just straight hopping the trains nowadays, but I know the aggressive swiping was an issue at Bain.
It seems like you froze up a little bit there, but to address that issue at Bainbridge, especially the part-time side, we are aware that there are 2 people there that do aggressively swipe. There's a male and a female. I will tell you that we have 2 separate plainclothes crime teams that are out there addressing crimes within the entire subway system in District 11, but one of their main focuses is 205 on that part-time side. We have arrested those individuals 2 or 3 times this month. 2 I can confirm. The third one, I think only one of them was arrested. So we are addressing the issue. You might not see us in uniform there, but we are out there in plain clothes. We are looking. We do know about them. They have been a constant issue for and at that station specifically for many years now.
Yep.
And we are addressing it. We are also working with BRC and other government agencies to try to get them to find other resources instead of having to resort to getting money through swiping. But we are aware of that issue. We are enforcing that issue, whether it be in uniform and also in our plainclothes teams. We will continue to address that issue.
Okay, thank you. Because the other 2 stations that I know I hear a lot about are Kingsbridge Road, both on the D line and on the 4 line. The D line I haven't heard of as much, but just to give you guys a heads up as to what our concerns are.
Okay.
Chad, I see you have a question.
Yes, good evening. I just have a question. How is the panhandling on the trains being addressed at this time? Where they're asking for change? I'm just curious to know.
Of course. Asking for change or anything in a transit system is a violation. It is only a violation, so the police officers do have to observe it for it to actually be a summonsable or arrestable offense. Due to the nature of the laws at this point in time, it is just a summonsable offense. We are not able to arrest just for that violation unless there's a warrant or some other detective PC investigation card against them. We can bring them in for that to be served, but it's not an arrestable offense to ask for money on the trains. If it is an issue, if there's an aggressive panhandler, which I meant to say before, throughout the city, there are cops at every station, more or less, at the conductor's position. I'm sure everybody's heard about the conductor putting over the message, NYPD is on the platform if you have any questions or concerns. 4 hours after the midnight tour, which I believe is 7:50 in the morning till 11:50, 4 hours after the day tour, which is going to be 3:40 to 7:40 at night, and then even 4 hours after our last platoon, which is going to be 11:30 at night to 3:30 in the morning. There are additional people in every station. We call it our 4-hour post tours, and that's not just transit. That's also the 5-2, the 4-6, the 4-0. Everywhere throughout the city, they're flooding the tours and they're trying to hit the commuter rush. So if there are any issues and if there are panhandlers bothering you or walking through the train corridor or creating an unsafe condition, by all means, go to the conductor, let them know. they will either call the cops or at the next
They don't
station.
do anything. They don't do anything.
Who's that? I'm
When I-
sorry, the police.
when I
We lost you, Chad. What was that?
when I let the conductors know, they always give me some weak answer, like call 311 or call 511, or there's nothing I can do about it. And what worries me is that when they're indecent and they're coming in your personal space and you want to avoid them, that's what I have a problem with.
Okay, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Like you can also approach the officers that are on the train. If you ask them to hold the door, call the officers over, they will pull that person off the train. We do have the power to do that. Say, listen, you're causing disturbance on the train. Multiple people have said it. We will pull them off that train car, see what's going on. Like I said, we do have to witness the violation for some little offense, but we will remove them from the train, see what's going on, ask if there's any witnesses, things like that. And if anything, eject them from the transit system, because you are a paying rider. You deserve to have a peaceful ride to wherever you are going.
Thanks.
Of course.
All right, Sergeant Batts, I'd like to appreciate you being on the meeting and the valuable information. Officer Meredith also has always been informative and very helpful to us with all the previous questions. Should we have any concerns or any issues between the meetings, if the community reaches out to us, we'll usually try to forward the information to you guys, so you guys get an idea of what's going on, or what the concerns are from us. All right?
By all means.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Continuing on to the agenda. Did we have anyone here for MTA?
I'm here. I'm Megan.
Oh, hey, Megan. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. Now you work directly with MTA, with the state, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the Bronx rep for New York City Transit.
Okay. Glad you're here. If you want to, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself or give us a little synopsis of you.
Yeah, sure. So so my name is Megan Molina. I'm Assistant Director of Government and Community Relations for New York City Transit. I joined the agency last year, and I do cover all of the Bronx. I typically attend district service cabinet meetings for the CB, but if there's a particular request or if there's a need for any particular briefings from transit, that's when we will be attending the transportation committee meetings. So happy to address any specific questions for this evening, but otherwise no major updates at this time.
Okay. Megan, I don't know if it was forwarded to you, but I had reached out to the community board in reference to the MTA released a press release in reference to the mobility issue on the trains and the elevators that were being scheduled. I believe it was like 2 years ago. The community and all the elected officials, they had a thing at Moshula Parkway where MTA had mentioned that once they finished the train at Tremont, that the Moshula Parkway train was the next being scheduled for an elevator being installed. And when that list was released from the press recently, I didn't see the Moshula train station on there at all.
So the Moshula Parkway station is still a part of our capital program. I can double check our tracker for what the mobilization date is for that particular project. I know that we made headway there with some award dates that happened towards late last year in December 2022. So what I'll do is I'll just go back to see if there are any updates as to when we'll actually start making headway with construction there. But even when that is set, the date for that is set, I will be reaching out to the board to share that notification, because eventually it will result in a briefing for the community board.
Okay, that's great. Like I said, I just got worried when I saw it disappear off the list.
No, it's still a priority. Yeah, it's just we release them when we know that we have award dates that are set, and then we're ready to mobilize for construction. So it happens in packages, and so it just happens to be that Moshula was not part of that particular package, but it still is in our capital program. Yeah,
because I understand that train station is a little different as the way the station is laid out. So putting elevator in is a little complicated. So thank you for keeping us updated on that when it changes. I don't know if Carla what information Carl has been able to relay to you as far as any questions we had in reference to transit. Was there anything that we had outstanding out, Carla?
No, I think the last questions we had with Megan, she was able to give us an update on some of the items. I'm gonna go back and look at my email right now
Okay.
to.
I know she responded, and I'd like to thank her for that. Because at one point we had very good communication with MTA, and the young lady, I believe she retired or she moved on from MTA, and then there's been a couple of different people. I know COVID kind of messed up us having meetings, and some of the communications changed, but we're glad that we have an open channel communication with the MTA. This is very important. You know, we have a lot of questions and a lot of concerns that pop up, and just be able to get information sometimes is very helpful. I know it puts a lot of the residents at ease just to know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm
Yes, and
always
no,
here.
oh, sorry.
No,
And
go ahead.
Megan is always very helpful in giving us updates on planned service changes on the D train or any other trains and buses as it relates to the district. And we usually add that information to our newsletter as well.
Yeah, you'll be hearing from me a lot when it comes to any planned service changes, especially when we include shuttles for our planned service changes. So you'll continue to receive that communication from me. And like I said, I'll always make it a point to try and attend the DSCs. And if there's anything in particular that comes up that requires, you know, a major briefing, or if you have specific questions that you want to discuss as a group, happy to join these meetings as well. But I'm always reachable by email and by phone for whatever questions that come up in between these meetings.
Megan, I have something that's a little off topic. I know we try to give you information before the meeting starts, just so you're not getting hit from the side. But just a concern that we have, or a concern that I definitely have, is along the Grand Concourse. I don't know how familiar you are with the D line and the Grand Concourse.
I am, yes.
Okay. There's stairways that come out that in an emergency, if you have to exit the train or leave the tracks, they literally drop you off on the Grand Concourse, right? And there's these big yellow doors that they're marked, you know, transit. Unfortunately, what's been happening recently, and we've been trying to address it with NYPD. I know Officer Meredith was very helpful, and the officers in the 5-2 are a little more cognizant of what's going on and what the concern is. And we want to make sure that those stairways, aren't blocked, because you get vehicles that park on that median that kind of never used to happen. And in some cases, they're blocking those doors. I don't know if there's anything MTA can do as far as contacting NYPD to kind of make it a concern or something for them to look at in enforcement.
So this is the first time this is being raised.
I know.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that. So I would definitely, I'm happy to talk to you about it also more in detail. And I don't know if Officer Benedict is still here. I know I've spoken to him recently, but happy to touch base with him as well, just to get a better understanding of what's happening there and see how we can be supportive.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still here. Megan, we're gonna talk tomorrow if possible.
Sounds good. I'm pretty sure I have your number, but if not, I'll put my contact in the chat, and if you're able to give me a call tomorrow morning, happy to talk through that.
Okay.
Andrew, you have two hands, one from Andrew and one from Eric.
Yeah, Andrew, go ahead.
Yes. My question is, it was all over the news in December how all the headlines were MTA spending $1 million a month for private security guards at 14 stations. The expectation that it will be expanded. My question is it still going on? Was it expanded? Is it working? And wouldn't we be better off spending that money on hiring full-time trained armed police officers to do that kind of work? Thank you.
Noting your question, I can get back to the board with a more thorough response. My understanding when it comes to the hiring of security guards was also in an attempt to have a presence that was unarmed when it comes to things like fare evasion. That program is still going on to my knowledge, but I will double check internally to get you specifics.
All right, Eric, go ahead. Thank you, Andrew.
Hi, Megan. Welcome to CV7. I have a question. Well, more like given the new redesign of Moshulu Parkway from DOT, there's a lot of buses that stand there as a layover happens when the end of the route, mostly like like the BX38. So they park along the parkway, right? They were parking on the bike lane, now they're parking on the other side. So I'm wondering if at one point the MTA buses should sit with the community and say, we need this amount of space on this sidewalk or this block to create these layovers for buses, right? Rather than having them just park where they're not supposed to be.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding. You're saying that when the BX38 specifically does their layovers, that they're doing their layovers along the parkway and then also specifically parking in the bike lane. Am I understanding that
They
correctly?
were parking on the bike lane, but now the bike lane has been blocked off. So now they park on the no parking painted area along the parkway. They're not blocking traffic, but they're still on the parkway where there's yellow, no parking.
Okay, that's a question that I would have to discuss not only with our operations planning folks, who I know they're not on the call anymore, but also our Bronx Road operations. And that would probably result in them just taking a better look at what the layover looks like. So that's something else I'd have to follow up with you on once I speak with both teams on that.
Well, since you're gonna have that conversation, can I add something to that?
Sure.
I'm sorry. The bus that goes along Crotona Avenue, they have a final stop in front of Botanical Gardens. And what ends up happening is you'll end up having 2 or 3 buses in that bus stop, and they're actually blocking that lane of traffic. Because there used to be more room there than when they redesigned the bike lanes that kind of took away the bus's parking space. So
Okay.
I understand them having a layover need, where they need to park their bus off, off to the side of the road. But that one's a little dangerous because as people are coming down from Fordham Road going north on Crotona Avenue.
On Southern Boulevard.
Yes, that's Southern Boulevard, I'm sorry. On Southern Boulevard, it turns into one lane. Right in front of Botanical Gardens by Fordham University. So that might be one also they need to look at or try to figure out a legitimate layover area for the buses. Because I understand they need that, you know what I'm saying? They definitely do. It just it looks like that was never put into the design when they put in the bike lane and changed that whole area.
Right. And
which bus is this one?
the 19, BX19.
The 19. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will definitely take a look at this one too. I'm just gonna map it out for myself to have an understanding, and I may give you a call just for additional follow-up questions, but I will flag this one when I flag the BX38.
Yeah, any questions, I'm definitely available. Sigurino.
Yes, just to touch base, I spoke to one of the dispatchers of the bus on 204th and Bainbridge. And to keep that area open, they moved the buses down to Marshall Parkland so that they wouldn't be taking up parking along the strip and or blocking anything else along the business area. And that's why those buses ended up down there sitting there on Marshall, which of course is empty. So why not put a bus there?
Originally that was on 206 where they all used to lay over, and that created a little bit of a congestion, and it was kind of crazy. But I mean, if you want to take a nice walk in the park, I mean, the last thing you want to do is be looking at a bunch of buses. Just saying, I mean, it's a nice area, the parklands are there for a reason. People like to, it's a scenic walk, and to walk and see buses, is not the purpose of the trip. But like I said, but we have to find a reasonable place for them, right? Because
Right.
there's no parking in the street, there's no parking anywhere else. So, but I guess we just have to find some place where everyone's can be mutually happy.
Understood. I will definitely look into these and I'll discuss internally with the team.
All right. Thank you, Megan, for your attentiveness to us, and I'm glad to finally have a contact name and person to go to. Like I said, I know there's been a lot of changes, a lot of moving around, so it's been kind of difficult. But I'm glad we have a set person. I'm glad you've been very helpful to Carla. I know. So I'd like to thank you for what you've done up to now, and hopefully we'll have a positive and a productive relationship.
We will, Edgar. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll definitely be in touch a lot more, and I'll continue to be in touch with Carla as well.
Right. Thank you. Okay. Just so everyone knows, our next meeting date will be April 6th. Do we have any suggestions on our agenda for that day?
Tires.
I'm addressing that differently. I know what you said. I've spoken to the political people in the area. I know we talked about that Sunday. I'm going to try to direct that to sanitation, since they're saying the sidewalks belong to sanitation, and those are the only ones that would have enforcement capabilities. It's outside of the hands of NYPD. It's out of the hands of the Better Business Bureau. So we're going to go to sanitation, see what they say, and we're also going to team up with the elected officials, because it's not the only one on 204. About 6 different locations. There's a few other locations within the Bronx that need to be addressed. But thank you for that, Mr. Guerrero. Does the committee have any suggestions?
You have Andrew's hand
Andrew,
up,
yeah.
and then Toby.
Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, regarding the tire establishment on Jerome in East 204th Street, it is a fact that there are continuing to be completely illegally parked trucks.
Right, because they're
on
unlicensed,
Jerome,
uninsured.
204th Street. Those trucks are jammed with tires. So for law enforcement to claim that the only law that's being broken is regarding the sidewalks is not accurate, to say the least. There are now 4 large trucks with no license plates, no registrations. They sit there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are in the street, parked right up to the curb. That is illegal. That has nothing to do with the sidewalk. Thank you.
Andrew, I hope you filled out that survey about the trucks.
Oh, I absolutely did. Yes, I did.
Okay, great.
All right, Toby, do you have something?
Yes, I wanted to say that I noticed recently along DeVoe Park on the Father Zeiser side that there's a sign that is asking people to do 20 miles per hour. And I think that's a good thing. However, I would like to see those signs start at where the traffic comes from around Fordham into Father Zeiser. And I don't see that yet. So I guess I will continue to monitor the area as I go back and forth and see if anything more is being added. I do
Thank
know,
you for that.
you're welcome. There is less traffic going up into Webb Avenue, so that's a positive. I have seen NYPD traffic division there. And I think that has been a deterrent. So I'm happy with that as well. I will keep a lookout for more progress in the way of slowing that traffic down heading that way.
All right, thank you, Toby.
Andrew's hand still up, and then Malcolm Gray.
Andrew,
Okay, never mind. Now you only have I think Andrew's hand was up by mistake. Now you have Malcolm.
Hello. Hey, how you guys doing? So my name is Malcolm. I'm from the Jerome Gun Hill bid. I'm the new neighborhood management manager there. I know you guys mentioned tires. Is the tire shop in the bid in any way infringing on anything for you guys?
it's on 204th and Jerome.
Just that one? Okay, cool. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
That's too far down. I know it's too far down from you guys. You guys handle it to Mashula Parkway going south, right?
Yeah, right. Okay.
Thank you for coming to the meeting.
You should
Thank you.
extend down there.
Huh?
What you said?
I said you should extend down there. Those members could use your help. I mean it. No, I honestly mean that.
Yeah, I mean, if the community wants it, we'll see.
I mean, that there should be one for Bedford Park, and I would have hoped that would be part of Bedford Parks, but Bedford Park unfortunately doesn't have a bid. But that would be more directly related to Bedford Park, where 204th is. But thank you for inquiring, Malcolm.
Thank you. No problem.
All right. Now, as far as for housekeeping, it's been a couple of months since we lost Jaira, who was our co-chair. So I guess we're looking to have a co-chair for our traffic and transportation group. Do we have any volunteers?
I nominate Eric.
Someone needs to second that nomination.
I second it.
Then I accept.
All right, Eric. Thank you for stepping forward. I know it's a big ask for you because you have one of the other busiest community groups in the housing, land use, and
I was going to nominate Daisy. If she's interested, she can have it.
Yeah, it was like a resounding silence when I dropped that. Who wants to be co-chair? Cricket.
Hey, it's not that bad.
And Jair was busy with it because being a secretary kept her really busy also. So I'd like to thank her.
Yeah, no problem.
For the time.
I will help you along.
Yep. I thank you, Eric. I've been kind of muddling through this for the last couple of months. I'm having issues with my eyes, but you know what? I've been able to get through it. Thankfully, for the help from the community board, from Jade and from Carla. They've been helping me with some of the stuff because can't read, man. I feel like I'm uneducated. Back to ABE. So Eric, congratulations. I guess we can officially update that on the chart, please, Carla, when you get a chance.
Yes, absolutely. You got it.
All right.
Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you, Carla.
Congrats. I'm here if you need my help.
Yeah, Daisy, just be ready because when Eric gets more responsibilities.
Yeah, I'm around. I'm here. And if you need my help, you can just call me. I'll come across the park.
Oh, thanks, Daisy. Fortunately, like I said, right now this is all being done, online. So it makes things a little easier with documentation and paperwork and stuff like that. The in-person meetings might get a little more cumbersome, but we'll see what happens for next month. As of right now, the stopover is just until what is it, March 15th or 22nd?
March 21st.
March 21st. So after that, they'll make their decision on what this choice is for April. So for right now, we'll see where that leaves us. Like I said, thankfully, I got a good committee. I thank you guys for coming in, for being here. We don't have attendance issues, and we have participation. We have a lot of participation, thankfully.
And guys, I'm always here. I always join in. So if in a pinch, something happens, life happens, I'm always going to be around and log in and can help out too.
All right. So being we don't have any more items for next month, like I said, I'm going to continue to question DOT in reference to city bikes. We're glad we finally got some response, right? They were able to give us a complete number of usages for the whole CB7 area. If there's any particular stops or any particular bike racks that you guys are questioning or have concerns about, either let Carla know or reach out to me, send me an email, and just give me the location. I tried to go through it with Keith, but he needs like specifics, which, like, if I just say the bike rack on 204th and Gun Hill, he needs to know if it's the northbound, the southbound, which side of the street, where exactly the bike rack is located, so we can make sure we get the proper information. But I'm thankful that they were able to start getting me that information. I spoke to the city in reference to those tires on 204th Street. I was at the 52nd Precinct Council meeting on Thursday, and the Department of Consumer Affairs, they were totally unable to assist us, I guess, and our concerns. I don't know whether we have to start going after the licensing agents that give these guys their business licenses, or it was suggested that we go to sanitation. So that's going to be my next fight. We're going to try to contact sanitation in reference to them trying to keep those sidewalks cleared, right? Because on 204th Street, on both sides of Jerome and going up 204th Street, there's nothing but tires on the street. That's totally unacceptable. Now once it starts snowing and things are getting blocked off, and it's going to be really difficult for pedestrians. There's a lot of schools in that area, a lot of people that have to get through there. So it's definitely been a concern. And like I said, we've been trying to get in touch with that agency, and like I said, their response to us is that it's not their responsibility. So they suggested us going after sanitation, and I'm also speaking to our public officials to try to get us some direct assistance. So hopefully it's either NYPD or a task force between them and sanitation can do something for that intersection and so forth. But it's not just that one location, right? It's quite a few places along the Bronx that have the same situation. So hopefully we can get everybody a little bit of help.
Yeah, and Edgar, this is something that can also be moved to environment and sanitation. So let's loop
Well,
in
it should be that quality of
environment and
life.
sanitation chair.
Quality of life. There's a lot of different groups that can should be able to address this. But like I said,
So this is definitely something that we should be addressing in the executive committee, where we all the committees that are affected by it should try to help.
But our biggest problem is finding responsibility, right? No city agency wants to take responsibility. So it's like, all right, we have 20 complaints, but who do we give them to? You say Better Business, they say it's not their responsibility. You say NYPD, it's not their direct responsibility. So if we can find someone that can directly do what they're supposed to do for the infraction, then we know who to forward the request to. So like I said, hopefully between the political entities and sanitation, we can put together an action plan and get that corner cleaned up. like to thank you guys for that. You know, I don't want you guys to think that I'm not trying to clean up the situation. I just can't get anyone to say, okay, we've got it, or we'll take care of it.
Edgar, I gotta say, you're the only one really taking the lead on this besides Andy. And that's my personal opinion, so.
Yeah.
And shame on everybody else who doesn't think that this is not a major community problem. We should target every agency and let them know that they should be responsible for this, including the fire department.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we were thankful. We got some response when we talked about the tires on top of the trucks, right? That Officer Meredith from Transit, the transit officer, a couple other people, they went.
Yeah, but when they allowed them to take them off the truck and
Right.
put them on the city sidewalk, instead of telling them to take them away, put them in the truck and drive them away.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, that was redundant. That was
they told them to take it off. They didn't see where they put them when they took them off. So, but like I said, they tried, they responded. But we just need someone with teeth. You know, hopefully sanitation can summons them, or the same way they took the ladies' vegetables on Pelham Parkway, they can start taking the tires off the street. I'm sure that way we'll get a response. But like I said, we're working on it. It's not a forgotten issue. It's just one that doesn't seem to have a direct cure. But we're still trying, and we're still trying to put it together. Being we don't have anything else, are we looking to adjourn the meeting, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Eric. All those in favor? Aye. I'm sorry. Lowell, thank you for seconding. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Enjoy your
Good
march.
night.